Hi, my name is Arara Vilano, and I am a pixel artist from Brazil. One of the first art I ever posted online was of the Vtuber
I
Camila.
like it a lot. I love this little confrontation right here with this little angerness. They literally look like grocery store like moms like fucking arguing over like who should get.
Karens.
Yeah. Donnie.
A little bit of a fireworks finale here.
Yeah, those were the days. Back then, she didn't even have the Vtuber model she uses today.
I may be stupid.
I start by creating a really small new file, just 400 pixels wide. And I start drawing lines just to get a feel of the pose, how it's gonna look overall, trying to get the idea out of my head. One thing I usually try is to make a lot of sketches in different layers, one on top of the other, so I can keep refining the same art, and after a couple of tries, I always get somewhere. So now I want to get shapes correct. I'm gonna start doing the colors, so I create the skin on a layer, the hair on another. Every time I wanna do a new color, I create a new layer, decide which one is on top of the other. At this point, I'm not caring at all about detail. I try to get the shapes as detailed as I can while being fast, but I will refine this a lot in a future pass. One thing that I love about pixel art is that pixel art for me is like the art of putting the most information you can into a really tight place. So here for the hand I have a lot of space. I can put a lot of definition in this hand alone, while I won't have the same space for the face or even the other arm who is way back there. So now we start the shading process. Here, what I'm trying to do is select highlights, shadows, and separate them with different shades of the same color. At the same time, I'm creating the color palette for the whole thing. I didn't get it on camera, but basically here I'm looking at my own hand, getting to see how the shadows behave in my own hand, and trying to mimic that in the piece. Sometimes I'll Google for images of other people, trying to get like a specific part of the body in a specific lighting, so I can see how the body behaves in each type of different light. At this stage, I'm just doing a hard highlight. I'm selecting colors, defining what my color palette will be. And at a later process, basically the last thing I do, I go doing those pattern shading pixel art. Metal is one of those materials that are kinda hard to do in pixel art, because you have to do all this high contrast that go inside the shape. But even here, where I have a lot of space to work with, every time I do like this highlight line, it just feels like a straight line inside the shape. It feels like it's dented or something. As an artist, you can never go full straight. That's a rule. So I have to keep doing and reworking and zooming out, zooming in, until I got to feel like this is actually metal. Sometimes I will lose a lot of time until I feel the shape is correct. So at this point I'm not heavily shading it. I'm just marking where the main shadow will be, and at a later moment I'll come and try to shade it so I can get a volume for this leg. This piece of the leggings or the socks, I don't know exactly what this is. I had a really hard time getting it the exact shape it is in the art. And since I'm not using lines in my art, it gets kinda hard to do. There is already very little difference between the legs and the socks in color. The skin tone is kinda similar to the white tone of the socks, and to use only these colors to solve something that in the original art is solved with the lines, with the line art, it's a little hard, kinda hard to do. So the other sock actually has different colors. So the way I usually do this is by doing pattern shapes. So before I start doing the shadows for the whole leg, I have to do the color change, because each part of the colors will have its different shadow colors. So time to do my first pattern shading. Usually I always use the same pattern, is the pattern I got used to. I do it kind of fast and I love how it looks. And the way I do it is like this. After I have this area where the two colors I'm going to shade one into the other, I have them very well defined, and then I start creating a grid right around the edge, and I keep going forward toward one of them. And later on I started doing these crosses, so I get more area of one color. Then as the grid goes outwards and outwards, I start enlarging these crosses, getting more of that color in those shapes, until at some point I finally have this cool gradient like thing. Then now I can do the shadows. I never like to use full black color. I think true black is kind of hard to get in real environment, so I rarely use it. So here I'm going for this kind of brownish tone. I think it will look great. Keep trying to get every single detail as best as I can. And again, I'm usually not that confident when translating things that are drawn straight with line art to... And here I'm not using line art for my work. So I have to find my ways of using the shadows in the best way possible. I think it looked fine. The body part is actually where I gave a lot of my time to. I had to keep the image of Camila open all the time, getting every piece of the patterns correct. And since I'm drawing in an angle, I have to kind of put in my head where I would think each of the parts would go, trying to angle them correctly, selecting each of these squares of this checkered pattern, and I think it looked pretty fine at the end. Do you know how every single art guide always tells you to start drawing the face by the eyes, because the eyes give so much expression to the art? that you kinda connect with the art, you kinda see how the expression, the life of the character you're drawing is gonna be, and that kinda anchors you to an emotion you wanna convey through the art. For me, I had this teacher a while ago that told me the exact opposite, and I loved the tip, because if you are getting a lot of expression of the body without the eyes, it means you're in a very good position. You have a very dynamic and expressive body, face expression without the most expressive things. So then when you actually draw the eyes, it feels the art just kind of pops into life. I don't think I would recommend this to really beginners, because I mean you kind of have to get a sense of what you're trying to achieve, some experience and comfort with your posing angles, but I do think there is a place where if you start drawing the eyes less, you will get to much more dynamic poses and expressions out of your characters. One thing that happened right after I started not drawing the eyes first was taking a lot of attention towards the shoulders. You see how every single art I do, I kind of work a lot with the shoulders of my character. The shoulders give a lot of dynamicness. Is that a word? They make the body a lot more dynamic, especially towards the face. And again, not having line art at this will make my work in the white eyelashes a lot harder. So one thing I'm trying to do here is to use the makeup as contrast to the white eyelashes, and this will actually help me a lot in the future. Doing this heart on the bottom of the eye was kind of hard. I have to put very complex information in a very tight space. So I broke one of my personal rules of using the fewest colors I can. I used a lot of shades of pink, and from pink to white here, until I got the heart somewhat visible from full resolution. So you see me going back and forth a lot here, trying to see how it looks from a zoom out perspective, until I got the heart in the shape I wanted. So now I go for the hair. Hair is by far the part I like the most in every single art I do. I really have a lot of fun drawing hair, and I love drawing different styles of hair, how each of those hair responds to light. And I love how Camila's hair specifically has a lot of highlights and very little shadow. So I try to respect the original artist's work and do the same with my one. And I always try to do that, like trying to keep part of the original style in my art. So I respect the original artist's work, and it's also a guideline for what I need to do to achieve the same results. Since I'm always drawing art of other people, like I'm doing all these VR chat characters, and they're always attached to the person that identifies with that character. It's not like you're doing a fictional character from a story or a game. these characters are actually attached to someone that have already their understanding of how the character works, so keeping some of the original characteristics also help me get closer to what makes that character unique to that person. This is actually what made me fall in love with drawing characters for the VR community and not just drawing fan art of regular characters from other media. Pretty much almost done, but since I want to do more shading, get those shapes a lot smoother, now it's time to go to the shading pattern for the whole thing. These legs especially needs a lot of work. Like at this point, I wouldn't finish this one without this shading, because I put so much attention in those legs. I have to get its shape a little smoother. Same pattern, the only difference is that the leg kinda has a curve to it, so I have to consider that while doing each of the small dots and the small crosses. But it's basically the same thing I've been doing the whole time. A little more definition to the armpits enjoyers. And time to go back to the mouth. Because ever since the beginning, I wanted to put teeth in the mouth, but the white teeth contrasted to the really light skin almost makes it invisible, so it just makes the shape of the mouth weirder. I finally had an idea of drawing lips. It was not something I wanted to do, it's not something I usually do, because these are anime characters and anime characters usually don't have lips drawn. And Camila doesn't have lips drawn on her character. But lips here would actually allow me to draw the teeth I wanted to draw, so here it is. I actually hate drawing backgrounds, but in commissioned work I actually give a lot more attention to the backgrounds, but since I was doing something fast and for fun, and went for the clouds, and then while doing the clouds I basically just freehand the whole stuff. I do have fun drawing clouds. I love drawing clouds, I love freehanding stuff. So I draw these lines, I try to draw some shapes, I release my inner traditional artist, and I actually love drawing clouds. And this is it! Camila, the Imp Vtuber. I really like this one, I hope you liked it too. So, do you like this type of videos? Do you want me to keep doing stuff like this? Please like, subscribe to my channel. Thank you! See you next time.